Hi Aries, I'm Anisha. To know more about my work, you may visit my website www.tarotbyanisha.com. For those of you who are seeking deeper clarity in your personal lives, be it your love life or your career, for a personal consultation, you may write to me at tarotbyanisha@gmail.com. Aries, it's quite a lovely year, and we have Mercury retrograde that is there at the beginning. We have two eclipses that are there in February. We have a Venus retrograde that is happening mid-year. We have the fantastic, beautiful, expansive Jupiter that is moving around October 11th, and we are ending the year with a mighty Saturn that finally moves for the next 3 years. Let me break up the year for you. We're beginning the month on a very quiet note. We have Mercury that is retrograde, and it started going retrograde around December 20th, and it's retrograde till about 9th of Jan. So it's like taking stock of the year that went by, things that worked, things that didn't work. What is it that you want to do ahead? Maybe doing some research on the work that you have an idea about, or you have a passion towards, or maybe a liking towards it. Also a great time to be I think as far as electronics are concerned, while of course like all Mercury retrogrades, I mean it's advised not to buy, but it's a good time to be getting them serviced. So any of the electronics or that needs to get serviced, or they need to go in for repair, it's a great time to be doing it, as is a great time to be getting that lovely second-hand bargain deal during a Mercury retrograde. We have the first eclipse that is there on the 6th of February, and this is happening in a part of your chart that is all about love. It's about children, it is about creativity, and it's a lunar eclipse. And during a lunar eclipse, it's things are coming to a fruition, they have ended. So it could be that for some of you, you have either it's a hobby project, or it's something that you're very, very passionate about, you really love doing it. It's something that comes to an end. It can be something which is creative. It can be that maybe some of you have been you've been at a space and place where you've been launching a product, and now you're ready to sort of announce it, and you've finished all the work, you've worked on it the entire year, and now's the time where you're ready to sort of share it with the world. In some cases, as far as relationships are concerned, unfortunately they may come to an end, fair may come to an end, and especially if things have been sort of they've not been that great. So it would be something that has been, you could have seen it coming, and it could be in the pipeline, so to speak. So there's not going to be a knee-jerk kind of a reaction with the lunar eclipse coming, that you just get up and say, okay, I need to break up now. But in cases where the relationships has been fragile and you've sort of seen it coming, in places where you have been trying to rework in your love lives, it's a time and space wherein that you will be able to deepen the bond. You will finally sort of put the things on a side, things that really bother you, and you're able to start a new chapter again. On February 26th, we have a solar eclipse, and this is there in your behind the scenes house. It's a house of service, and with solar eclipse, there are lovely new opportunities for you to volunteer, to be of service. And for some of you, it can be that you're doing it very discreetly, you really don't want to make a big fuss about it. And it's also a time where if you are doing, you would prefer to have someone else take credit for it, and sort of be the funder, so to speak. And around March 6th to March 15th, we have Venus that is initially retrograde in your sign, and then it moves on to behind the scenes. So it's really a time to be very gentle with yourself, Aries. I think this entire pushing yourself and expecting things to I think manifest very quickly, or expecting results, or trying to push people also in a good way, in the sense, you want things to like really work and really move. But with the Venus retrograde, it really speaks about self-love. It talks about forgiveness as a very important thing. I think in places and relationships, both business as well as personal, where you feel either you have wronged or you have been wronged. It's a time really to put it down, put that baggage down, and let bygones be bygones. Don't revisit it too often, and that too, when you are revisiting, don't have sort of a sense of either self-loathing or criticism for yourself, and saying that, oh, I could have done it better, or what have I done with my life, I've made such a mess. Try not to reiterate all the negative affirmations during this time, and try also not to make decisions as far as love is concerned. Not a great time to be in relationship, or starting a new relationship rather, during the Venus retrograde. And also not the best of the times to be committing to someone, because during a retrograde normally things are not clear, and we don't see people for who and what they are. Around the April 9th to May 12th, we have Mercury that goes retrograde again, and this time it is there in your house of income and your house of self-worth. So really a time to be, you are going to be asking yourself questions like, is it really worth it? And maybe there is some delay as far as money is concerned. Maybe there is some amount of I think some amount of, I wouldn't say that you really get shortchanged, but there could be a sense of not really getting or not getting paid what you expected that you would. And over here again, try not to put your worth, your self-worth on an equation with your ability to earn. It's very important. So it's important, of course, to do a budgeting exercise during this time. It's important to do a pro and a con with the projects that may come around during this time, seeing whether, even if they are not really that high paying, but if you can get multiple of them, then, why not? And also Aries, because this house is also about self-worth along with material wealth, it's very important to remind yourself that you really don't have to answer to anyone as to how it is, or whether how many projects you do, or what is it, in which designation, or how you work, or at what level you work. End of the day, it is you have to answer to yourself. So try not to get caught with this entire thing of ability to earn and valuing yourself. We have a lunar eclipse on the 7th of August, and this is happening in a house of friends and groups of people which share similar passions and belief system. And this can bring something to an end, maybe a friendship, maybe a group of people, maybe you thought of working with some friends, and that partnership could fall through during this time. It can also at times indicate a misunderstanding with a group of people, with a group of friends who were maybe your well-wishers, and it's now sort of turned a bit uncomfortable. So try and sort it out. Try and see if you can speak with them and not ruin the relationship just basis some misunderstanding. Between August 12th to September 5th, we have Mercury that is retrograde in a part of your chart that is all about your day-to-day chores. It is about your health, and it's a time to reorganize your workspace. It's a time to declutter your home, especially have a look at your to-do list. Maybe you're feeling too overwhelmed with it, and try to sort of go easy and go methodically and slowly over it. It's also a great opportunity with this retrograde and this placement to reconnect with old colleagues, and it can be that maybe there's some other diet or specific, maybe even a doctor that you were visiting earlier, and maybe it's a time to be revisiting or going back over there and taking an opinion. On the 21st August, we have a solar eclipse, and that is there in your house of love, romance, creativity, and children. So it's a time where you're going to be going absolutely wild, and you're going to get invited out a lot of invitations, and a lot of time spent with loved ones, with children, with friends, and it's a time also where you're going to be feeling there is a sense of wanting to be really out there. You really won't want to spend time with yourself. There's going to be this keenness to be out and to be in a relationship, in a committed relationship specifically. On 11th October, we have the beautiful, expansive, the giver Jupiter that moves to your house of joint finances, resources, sexuality, intimacy, and transformation. And Jupiter has been there in your house of marriage and partnership, which would have just sort of become more stronger. It would have grown more. And now with Jupiter moving over here, it's a time that you're going to be very comfortable with the power control. You're going to be very comfortable with your dealing with financials as far as your spouse is concerned. This is a time also, Aries, where you can go about digging into some deep-seated issues, psychological issues that you may have, and it's a because it's also Jupiter rules transformation and expansion. It's a time where things could get slightly exaggerated. However, as far as your partner or your spouse is concerned, it's a fantastic time to be collaborating, to be doing something together. It will benefit you both. On the 3rd December till 22nd, we have Mercury that goes retrograde in your 9th house again. So that's we began the year with, and we're closing it on the same note. So something is coming to an end. It's something that is getting it's getting finished, it's getting completed, and it's a time where Mercury retrograde over here, it's talking about re-examining your personal beliefs. It's talking about the experiences, and it's a time to be considering your future as well, and what are the outcomes of it, and what is your overall philosophy to life. And during this time, for those of you who have failed in your exams, it's a good time to be giving those that re-exam again. Last but not the least, on the 20th of December 2017, we have the mighty Saturn, who finally moves for 3 years. And Saturn has been there in your house of expansion and of mind and expansion and some amount of travel as well. And now it is moving to your house of career, reputation, and it's going to be there for almost close to about 3 years. And this is a time which is really spent on self-improvement. It's a time wherein that Saturn is going to be transiting here, and it's going to be rechecking your commitments, how it is that you're committed, how much is it that you're committed to your work, what is the kind of value you put on it, what is it that you're willing to give up. And Saturn is a teacher planet. I think a lot of us often confuse and get very worried that, oh God, I have Saturn now for 3 years and I'm bad time. But the thing is that Saturn, once it leaves and once again you're willing to learn the things that Saturn is wanting to teach you, and normally it brings to focus the house in which that you could have been ignoring. So because this is the house of your career and reputation and your public image, it can be that it seems to be neglected or you have not done much over here. And by the time that Saturn leaves your house, it leaves a gift behind for good, which can stay for life with you. So ensure that during this time you are you're working hard, you are on the right side of the universe, that you are I think not just collaborating and cooperating, but as far as your public reputation or your public image is concerned, you are transparent and you're honest. So try not to indulge in anything that is underhand. Some of you may begin new studies during this time, and some of you may just move on to newer roles and maybe different portfolios. Even though some of you may feel a little limited and constrained, and you'll feel that so much of friction with the bosses, and I have to be reporting into 10 people now. But again, this this exchange or this authority challenges with authority figures is something that Saturn rules, and that again has come as a lesson to you, Arians. So try to look at all of this as a wonderful experience. Look at it as something that you can wear it as a feather in your cap, and don't get too daunted by it, saying that, oh God, I won't get any work and there won't be any opportunities. On the contrary, yes, Saturn will make you work more hard. It may make you look deeper and maybe run more, but it really depends as to how much you really want to sweat and how much you really want to, how badly you want your work. It's been a pleasure speaking with your Aries. I'll see you again soon, and thank you so much for watching.